Are the Philadelphia Eagles a one and done team? Is resting starters an option going into this Sunday in MetLife, considering what's at stake and the problems with this team internally? Let's talk about it. Salutation, mis amigos. This is your boy Cool Eagle back here in another video. Just want to come talk to you guys because, whoa, do we have a lot to talk about today in the world of Eagles football? Hope you guys are doing fantastic out there. Hope your 2024 is starting out exactly the way you wanted it. And if it's not, you still got 363 days to get it right. But let's get into Eagles football, right? Because we know what's going on with this Eagles team. 1-4 in our past 5 games. Internal struggles with AJ Brown not speaking to the media the past 2 weeks, questions about Jalen Hurts' leadership, continuity on the offensive side of the ball, and just defensive play calling in general, right? So this leads into the question: are the Philadelphia Eagles a one and done team? Because we know after last week's debacle versus the Arizona Cardinals, the worst team, at least in the NFC anyway, after that loss, we gave Dallas pretty much the baton to win the NFC East if they're able to pull off a win versus the Commanders in DC. Now obviously this isn't a guarantee win just because we know what Dallas is on the road, but due to the fact that being the Washington Commanders, I mean they might as well just. But Dallas has a debacle on their hands too, just like the Philadelphia Eagles, because we have the same record. Dallas is going into DC with the question if they should rest their stars or not, and the Eagles, if they should rest their starters or not. Nick Sirianni is saying that it is definitely a consideration that he's thinking about. We still haven't gotten a confirmation on that, but just looking at it, right? If you're looking at the problems with this team, and you know, the internal problems with AJ Brown, who's said to be speaking to the media tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting to see what his words are going to mean and how it's going to impact this team going into this game. That I told you guys in previous videos that I really didn't want to see the Eagles in, just because of all the injuries that have happened at this MetLife Stadium. So, um, I'm going to play you guys a clip from First Things First today, and they're going to talk about are the Eagles a one and done team, and we're going to just react to that, and then I'm going to give my commentary, yada yada. So, and again, thank you guys for showing up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. So Right. So as you can see from the graphic right here on the screen, and again, fair use YouTube, I'm going to speed it up a little bit to avoid any kind of flack from the guys in YouTube. And we're going to move widescreen. All right, good. So if you look at this graphic right here, right, AJ Brown, who's been visibly frustrated with the media, his refusal to talk to the media, not because he has anything against the media or the players, but because of the coaching staff, and rightfully so. A lot of Eagles fans have been very disgruntled with this coaching staff, even going as far as to say Nick Sirianni job should be on the line, even though he's one of the few coaches to get us to a Super Bowl. And this is his third year consecutively making the playoffs. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Should Nick Sirianni's job be on the hot seat? Does he have time to fix this situation? Does he deserve a chance to fix the situation, right? So, looking at this graphic, AJ Brown, week 1 through 9, he was clearly on a tear. As we know, he was one of the few players in NFL history to have 6 games or more with 125 plus yards, and we clearly see that right here. He had 92 targets, 67 receptions, 1,005 yards, and at this point, he was on pace like Tyreek to reach 2,000 yards. So Could this be another reason that he's upset because the Eagles aren't using him to his full potential? And them giving him $100 million contract and he's not being used like $100 million wide receiver. Just because, like, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Week 11 through 17. He's only been targeted 65 times, which is still a lot, right? 6 games. In 6 games, he's targeted so 10 targets a game, but he's only getting 4 receptions for 442 yards and a touchdown, which is insane. Because if you look at the amount of big yard receptions he's getting the first 9 weeks of the 9 weeks of the season to where he is now, it's a little ridiculous. And that would prompt anybody to warrant AJ Brown's frustrations, because you're talking about a guy who's a talent in this league, a freak of nature, and you're not using him in crucial times of the game. Like last week, for example, against Arizona, why didn't we use AJ Brown in those last few minutes? Why did we have to settle for a field goal? And I know we can go over the press conference with Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson, pretty much just playing damage control at this point to justify why they settled for the field goal and why on one of those last 2 drives you go a quarterback draw on 2nd and long, and then you do a busted wide receiver screen to Kenneth Gainwell, even though DeAndre Swift was super hot in this game. Like, you couldn't even touch him. He was so hot. But you decide to go with Kenneth Gainwell on a screen with Devontae Smith blocking, causing an injury to Devontae Smith that we still don't know what the status of that is yet. Maybe when the injury report comes out, we'll see if he's a limited participant, and we just hope to not see an O after that, which means out, right? So looking at this, we can see partly why AJ Brown is frustrated, because the coaches aren't putting him in the good position to succeed. When AJ Brown does good, this team does good. AJ Brown is the number 1 wide receiver on his team for a reason, not taking anything away from Devontae Smith. But when you have your number 1 wide receiver, your $100 million wide receiver, only having 1 touchdown in 6 weeks, I'd be pissed off too. Like, you're paying me $100 million and the coaching staff is only going to give me 1 touchdown, 38 receptions, and I only get 3 20-yard receptions when I was just balling out the last 8 weeks. Like, I'd be upset too. You know what I'm saying? And this poses a question if the Eagles are 1 and done. So let's play this clip from First Things First.
This season, he's not talking, but I will point out that weeks 1 through 9, he had 1,000 yards. In weeks 11 through 17, he has a combined 442 yards. And then weeks 1 through 9, he had 6 touchdowns, and now he just has 1.
Yeah, he was on pace for a 2,000-yard season.
Right.
At the bye.
Everybody is AJ Brown. Yeah. We had conversations like he should be in the MVP.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is true. There were conversations about AJ Brown being in the conversation, because if you look at this, the man had 1,005 yards from week 1 through 9. And if you're a math whiz like me, you times that out. This man was on pace for 2,000 yards, and the Eagles were balling out. We were 10-1 at this juncture in the season. And then weeks 11 through 17, you take him out of the offense, or like you limit his reps in the offense, and now you're wondering why you're 11-5 at the 5 seed when you were just at the number 1 seed from weeks 1 through 9. But let's continue.
All right, so are the Eagles destined for a 1-and-done fate?
Yeah. And listen, I'm not going to act as if it's impossible they go to Tampa and win, but it is impossible.
Because if the playoffs were to start today, as I said in my last video, we have to go to Tampa. And I'm going to show you guys a graphic about the playoff simulator right now. But are the Eagles a 1-and-done team? Let's watch the clip.
Will they go further than that? They are the 5 seed. And they're going to be the 5 seed because Dallas is not going to lose to Washington. And so as the 5 seed, they have 3 possibilities for round 2. In Detroit, in Dallas, in San Francisco. That's it.
And are the Eagles a 1-and-done team? Because if we go to Tampa, Nick is saying that we have a possibility or a chance to beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay because we've done it before, because of how Vegas feels about Tampa Bay with Baker Mayfield compared to Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. Now, this isn't to say this is going to be a lock to win, because let me show y'all something else, right? Let me show y'all that graphic I was talking about. And again, thank you guys for showing up and showing out for your boy, man. We're in that critical time of the season where everything's important. So, looking at this graphic, right? The Eagles have to go into Tampa Bay because Dallas supposedly doesn't have a really good likelihood of losing to the Commanders, even though Dallas does have their struggles on the road. You know what I'm saying? We know what Dak Prescott's record is on the road. He's 3-5 on the road compared to be 8-0 at home. You know what I'm saying? So it's not to say that Dallas is going to walk into DC and just walk all over these guys, because the Commanders in the last week of the season, Ron Rivera's last week as an NFL head coach, like the Commanders are going to want to play spoiler. They're going to play all out. Like, you got guys want to play for contracts next season. You got coaches wanting to move up in the ranks. So who's to say that the Commanders won't come out and try to play spoiler? Which, again, I don't see it happening, but history never lies. You know what I'm saying? So 5th seed at Tampa Bay, not a good chance of winning, just because you got to consider the Eagles' weaknesses, which is the defensive side of the ball. We can't stop teams on third down. We are now 32nd in the league in stopping teams on third down. So, and we have been historically bad at stopping teams on third down. We are giving up a clip of 51.9% on third down. It may be a little higher than that, you know what I'm saying? But according to PFF, it's about a 52% chance that you're going to convert on third down if you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles. So are the Eagles a one and done team? As a biased fan, I have to say no. For my sanity, I have to say no. But if I was a logical betting man, you know, Nick Sirianni's play calling is in question. Brian Johnson, it's hashtag fire Brian Johnson on Twitter and various social media platforms. And you even got Eagles fans talking about Brian Johnson was on the Epstein list. That's how bad it has gotten in Philadelphia fandom and the media. So if you're asking me as a non-biased Eagles fan, which is kind of hard to with the background and all that, you know what I'm saying? But if you're asking me, are the Eagles a one and done team? I would have to say, by those factors alone that I had just named to you, yes, the Eagles are potentially a one and done team. Because if you're asking me, can we go into Tampa Bay and beat these guys? I can't give you a definitive answer. I can only dance around the fact that, well, all the factors that I just named out to you, we can't stop nobody. So if Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield get us in a third down situation, they're more than likely going to convert. And you got 4 third downs later, you know what I'm saying? You know, they're in it for a touchdown on 4 consecutive drives, 5 consecutive drives. And the offense, with the talent that it has, should be able to keep up with these guys. But if you're having these internal conflicts with A.J. Brown not speaking to the media, Jalen Hurts' leadership being the question, Nick Sirianni on the hot seat, hashtag fire Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson was on the Epstein list, allegedly, according to many Eagles fans on Twitter. That guy is hated so much. They're saying that he's on the Epstein list. And we're not going to even go into that. You know what I'm saying? This is just about if the Eagles are a one and done team. You know, so if you're asking me, can we go into Tampa Bay? No. But at the same time, if the Eagles are firing on all cylinders and just happen to turn it on when the playoffs start, we can blow these guys out. Because they don't have a really good offensive line like that. You know what I'm saying? Baker Mayfield, although he's been playing, pretty well these last few weeks, getting his team in the 4th seed, even though that 4th seed is still not always solidified because they still have to win their last game. Because if Tampa Bay drops to 8-9 and the Falcons somehow get to 9-8, we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles going into Atlanta. And I like going to Atlanta. I like my chances with Atlanta for sure. I like the Eagles' chances going into Atlanta with Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder, and the only just receiving threat that you would have to worry about is Drake London and Kyle Pitts, which is still going to be a problem because, again, on third down, the Eagles are the 32nd worst team in the league. You know what I'm saying? So the Falcons on third down, oh boy, you know what I'm saying? So are the Eagles a one and done team? And it really just depends on who takes the NFC South. So if you look at that logic, the Eagles are kind of blessed to have this 5th seed, because when you look at the path, you have to play a team from the NFC South. Remember Dallas last year when they beat an old ass Tom Brady in Tampa Bay? I like those odds because I think we're a better team than Dallas still overall, because our quarterback's better. I feel our run game is more consistent. Our offensive line is definitely better. You know what I'm saying? The wide receiving core, definitely better. You know what I'm saying? So if we beat Tampa Bay, I feel like Philadelphia can do better than Dallas in that second round against whoever we come against. Because if we play an NFC South team and we win, we're potentially going to have to play San Fran, Dallas, or Detroit. And we can talk about the second round in another video, because I don't know who's going to be in the second round because the playoffs still have not been solidified yet. But if you're talking about the Eagles being a one and done team, you have to tell me, I would have to tell you, it depends. Because if we got going to Tampa Bay with these problems and Philadelphia actually doesn't turn on when the playoffs start, we're in trouble. We're definitely going to be a one and done team with the way with the way we're playing. The Eagles can potentially be a one and done team if they're going to play how they played against the Cardinals, how they played against the 49ers, how they played against the Cowboys, how they played against the Jets without Geno Smith and 3/4 of their secondary. We're definitely a one and done team. But if you're telling me that all these internal conflicts are just a fluke and the Eagles have just been saving their best for the playoffs, man, we can take anybody in the league. And I put my money on that. You know, shout out to everybody who's watching. Thanks you guys for showing up. So let's go back to that clip with first things first so we can further look at the perspectives of the media.
There's no other, no matter what, they're in one of those three places. Guess what? They get worked over by any of those three teams because they have a terrible defense. Terrible defense. So you're going to play Jared Goff in a dome? Good luck. Dak Prescott in a dome? Good luck. Or the Niners, who carved you up and might have broken you mentally a bit because that was kind of the tipping point of the season.
And I'll admit that a lot of Eagles fans were, were saying this after that 49ers game. There was a shift in tone of this team. Like, you start hearing about more of the internal conflicts. You start seeing more aggressiveness out of AJ Brown and an aggressiveness out of a calm-natured Devontae Smith. So I don't disagree with Nick, because even if we beat any of those middling teams out of the NFC South, we still have to go to Tampa Bay. We still have to go to either Dallas, San Francisco, or Detroit. Either one of those teams can beat the brakes off us, because all those teams are motivated. All those teams know that we have the 32nd place defense on third down. We have a problem stopping the pass, and all these teams are very pass-happy teams, except the 49ers, who set up the pass off the running prowess of Christian McCaffrey. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying the Eagles are a one and done team, but we can be a two and done team, meaning whoever we play in the second round can easily get us out, can easily, you know what I'm saying, like get us hell out of here. We can have a Dallas Cowboys season real quick, get him bouncing that second round. And the question of resting the starters, is that an option? I mean, possibly, because if you're already locked in at that fifth seed and you're already under the impression that Dallas is not going to lose a game on the road to the DC Commanders, then why play? If you're already just looking to see who you're going to play out the NFC South at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because let's take a look into the next week's games, right? Hold on. Okay. NFC, yeah, ESPN. Let's take a look. Schedule standings. All that, yeah. Week 18. Yeah, there we go. Take a look at this. We'll scoreboard. Pull up this. Week 18. Come on. I'm not looking for that. Come on. Week 18. Or scoreboard. Week 18. There we go. So let's take a look at this, right? So if we take a look at this, not even mind the AFC because that has nothing to do with this video. Talking about the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles are a 5-point favorite. So if we were to beat the Giants, which I believe we can do, if we beat the Giants, we lock up that fifth seed, and we're going to just be watching how Dallas plays against the Commanders. Because if Dallas somehow loses to the Commanders because they make the decision of resting important starters, the Eagles take the NFC East for the consecutive year in a row because we have a tiebreaker over the Commanders. So Dallas is in the conundrum themselves because they have to decide if they want to rest their players and give the Eagles a chance to take that number 2 seed back, or they play and just blow the brakes off the Commanders and possibly have an injury or two that'll affect them going into their home playoff game against whoever like the bracket has them. The bracket has them playing if Dallas were Green Bay. So now, can Dallas survive without Tyron Smith in that game? Like against Green Bay? I mean, like if Tyron Smith were to get injured or some crucial starter like that, because Dallas has to make a decision. Because if they rest Tyron Smith, or any of those crucial players on the offensive line, that opens up the defensive game plan for Washington, who are trying to play spoiler because it's just a rivalry. It's a division game at the end of the year. And what better way to get back at a division rival than spoiling their chances to make a good playoff run? Because again, if Dallas loses this game, they are in the 5th seed and have to go on the road to Tampa Bay and play Baker Mayfield and those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know what I'm saying? And we know what Dallas's history is on the road. So it's better for them to play their starters and possibly risk injury than rest their starters and give Philadelphia a chance to take back that number 2 seed in the division. Because if Philadelphia somehow takes back the number 2 seed, we're going to be the team to go to play Green Bay at home, which is favorable because the Eagles are a better home team, obviously, than they are on the road compared to Dallas, who's not very good on the road. because for me, whether the Eagles get the 5 seed or not, I still like our chances because I feel like we can go into any team stadium in the NFC South and beat the brakes off them, barring any of these internal conflicts and the inconsistencies on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like we can have a good chance of going on the road. But I would like to have a home game that's favorable for Philly fans because look at this, right? Where's Green Bay? Because they are that seed. Let's see, Green Bay. Where are they? Yeah, so Green Bay has to play the Bears the last game of the season. So their season is on the line as well. Because if they happen to drop this game to the Chicago Bears, who are playing like a really good team right now these last couple weeks, who's to say that the Bears won't take that playoff spot? And we got to play the Bears at home. I like that, even though mobile quarterbacks scare me against this defense. So y'all tell me what y'all think in the comments. Are the Eagles a one and done team? Is the path to the 5 seed easier and more favorable than getting that number 2 seed? Let me know you guys' thoughts. Very curious. Because again, us resting our starters is just as important as Dallas resting their starters. Because if Dallas rests their starters and they happen to drop that game, we take the number 2 seed back and we win the division. Something an NFC East team has not done in quite a while, winning consecutive NFC East titles. So y'all let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. I'm going to get out of here and run some errands I gotta do. But we got more content on the way. Y'all stay on the lookout for that. Love doing it with you guys. Remember, like, subscribe, get this content out there. And your boy, Cool Eagle, is out here.